there, you had the mistake with the DUI and then the whole cancellation.
Oh, this guy.
Now, before all that, you kind of had this image of like, you know, being Mr. Perfect, that cookie cutter image. But it seems like ever since all that stuff happened, it seems like you've been a little bit more liberated, kind of like, hey, you know what, guys, I'm not perfect, but it seems like now you're kind of being yourself, where you don't have to be, you know, watching like what you're doing and stuff like that. Is that what you feel like?
Dr. Phil, you know, honestly, when I first got into the sport, you know, no one teaches you how to be a pro athlete. So, I had this thing where I was just trying to be perfect for the fans as kids. And it was tough. So the DWI situation definitely, you know, let people know that I wasn't perfect, and it set me free in a way. So, yeah.
This is probably one of my all-time lows as being president of the UFC over the last 11 years. For the first time in 11 years, we're going to cancel an event. But the one thing that I never thought in a million years would happen, happened. Jon Jones said, "I'm not fighting Chael Sonnen." Jon Jones has been one of these guys who, you know, as much as you know, he's won in all the things that he's accomplished in a short amount of time. Like, he burst onto the scene a year and a half ago. He's ripped through the top guys. He's been a champion that hasn't been very popular, you know, and I don't think that this is going to do wonders for his popularity. As far as the relationship with us, me and Lorenzo are both disgusted. Selfish, disgusting, you know, decisions that doesn't just affect you, and you just affected, you know, 16 other people's lives, families, kids are going back to school. The list goes on and on of all the things, the money that was spent for these fighters to train and everything else. Again, like I said, I don't think that this is a decision that's going to make Jon Jones popular with the fans, sponsors, cable distributors, television network executives, or other fighters.
I'll start with Jon Jones. Jon Jones was tested out of competition on December 4th. When he was tested, he tested positive for cocaine. So had Jon Jones tested positive for a recreational drug after the fight, he would be even in more trouble, okay? He was fined $25,000 for violating the code of conduct, and that money ended up being donated to a charity that benefits children impacted by drug use.
Why would you do that so close to the fight?
Right. And you know, that's the big question. You know, why would you do that right before your fight? And I definitely don't have an excuse. I'm not here to make excuses for what happened. I did it. What I will say is that I messed up. You know, it wasn't a mistake. I can't call it a mistake necessarily because I consciously did it.
So you tested positive for a drug not banned, out of competition. Why do you think the results were made public?
I really don't know. There's a lot of questions that myself, my team, my attorneys are trying to figure out.
So you don't plan on taking any action against the Nevada State Athletic Commission?
At this point, I'm not going to comment on whether I'll be taking action against those guys or not. Me going to rehab was I would say it was like a collective decision between myself and some of my business partners. They thought it would be good. You know, I told them right away, I was like, dude, I don't have a drug problem, I just got caught.
In addition to your test coming back positive for cocaine, there was a lot of speculation around this epitestosterone level. Can you set the record straight on that?
You know, every man has a different level of testosterone. Sometimes it's high, sometimes it's lower. You know, a lot of people wrote these articles that possibly we were steroid guys or whatnot, which neither one of us are.
You have never taken any performance-enhancing drugs?
I have never, ever taken any type of performance-enhancing drug, ever.
The latest on the investigation to Jon Bones Jones.
Action 7 News reporter Erin Hill spoke to the pregnant woman who was in the car. Jones is accused of...
I kind of freaked out and I was just more upset, you know, that he couldn't at least stayed and he said, I'm sorry or something.
And a day later, police say they still haven't talked to Jones.
If Jon Jones wanted to reach out to us,
it would not be a difficult thing for him to do.
It happened here at Wantabo in Southern. After the crash, witnesses told police a man ran up this small hill before heading back to his silver Buick, grabbing a handful of cash and taking off, jumping over the fence of a nearby gated community.
And it was a red light for him, and he ran the red light.
The victim says she has a fractured arm along with other minor injuries.
John, give us a call. We just need to talk to you, man.
When we caught up with UFC President Dana White in Albuquerque, he told us he wasn't happy he had to come here in the first place.
Obviously, it's never a good thing when you hear that your guys are in trouble.
His visit came just hours after one of his superstar fighters, light heavyweight champion Jon Bones Jones, was in court on felony charges. He's accused of running a red light over the weekend, hitting a pregnant woman's car, and then running away from the scene. White told us he came here to speak to Jones and his lawyer in person to understand the situation before deciding his fate in the UFC.
We just found out what the facts are, and now we fly home and figure out what's next.
But late tonight, White's company dropped a bombshell. Effective immediately, Jones is stripped of his light heavyweight title and is suspended indefinitely. Jones tested positive for cocaine in December. A month later, the UFC fined him $25,000 for violating its code of conduct policy. And just before his suspension was announced tonight, Jones tweeted that he has a lot of soul searching to do and apologized for letting people down.
And it's been even wilder for the former light heavyweight champion Jon Jones. Here's a look at the whirlwind of events of the last 4 days. Sunday, Jones was allegedly involved in a 3-car accident, injuring a woman. He fled the scene, leaving marijuana in his vehicle. Monday, he turned himself in, posting a $2,500 bail. Yesterday, he appeared in court and was later stripped of his title by the UFC and suspended indefinitely. And this morning, the 27-year-old was pulled from the UFC rankings, and Reebok terminated their endorsement deal with the former light heavyweight champion.
I would like to see Jon Jones learn from this whole experience. Listen, he's going to be punished. He's been stripped of the title. He's lost deals. He's going through criminal proceedings. But is he going to be sorry? You know, it wasn't that long ago. We saw him, you know, he was in trouble. He was in hot water with the whole cocaine thing. And here we are again, just a few months later. I want to see Jon learn from this. He's not a bad person, you know. He's made some mistakes. Yeah. Learn from these mistakes.
He's made some mistakes. I agree with you. Not a bad person at all. Well, folks, of course, we did.
But I was very disappointed with you with that car accident thing.
Yeah.
When you ran away from that car accident.
Yeah.
That to me was like, God damn, Jon's in a bad place.
Yeah, I was in a bad place. It was a messed up situation, man. That morning I got in a car accident, man. It was a huge reality check. I literally went through a light. It was like a green light that said that I could turn left, but you're supposed to yield for the right of way, right? To turn left, and person came through, and I just assumed it was my green light to go, obviously being not completely clear-headed, and I ended up running into a car. I was definitely disoriented.
Disoriented from the accident?
From the accident, for sure. Just kind of like, what the hell just happened? It was a really big hit, but I was fine. I had no injuries, and I just felt like, well, maybe it wasn't that bad of a hit. So I literally I step out of the car, and I realized, like seconds later, I realized my bull's in the car.
Did you look at the other person in the other car?
No, I had no clue that it was a woman. I had no clue that it was a pregnant woman. Oh, yeah, it makes me look like a monster.
Yeah.
It makes me look like a monster.
When you found out I was a pregnant woman, what was going through your mind?
I thought, man, I'm done. I'm done. First, I was afraid that there would be some type of problems with her baby, because, you know, obviously if she had a difficult pregnancy, then that's a whole different level of being in trouble. God forbid if she was to have a miscarriage. You know, I would imagine that would be 1,000% put on me. So I thought about the fact that I went from just partying and enjoying this career and this amazing fairy tale life. I thought I was going from that to like literally being in jail, being labeled as a murderer. Man, like.
Did anybody step in and say, "Hey, man, you got to get your shit together"?
Oh, I've had a lot of people tell me I need to get my shit together.
Mm-hmm.
I recently went outside to my garbage man was coming up, and I was late getting one of the garbage out to the side of the road, so he waited for me, and he even told me, he was like, he was dumping my garbage, and he was like, hey man, like I'm waiting to see you fight again. It's like, you really need to get it together. And I'm like, man, this dude's parked outside of my my little mansion, pretty much telling me to get my shit together.
Don't tell me what I know. You're going to testify to what I know?
Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm going to testify to what you know.
I know that you were drag racing, and I will testify to that.
That I was not drag racing.
Actually, I do know that you were drag racing.
Both know that I did not speed. You and I both know that I freaking revved my engine at the red light, and I never took off racing at all. Nor was the car next to me ever took off racing. I just simply revved my engine.
You took off at a high rate of speed, sir.
No, I did not.
Only you kept going. You slowed down.
I did not.
Okay.
You are an absolute fucking liar.
Well, we can talk about this.
Oh, can't wait to get out of my face. It is despicable.
I feel the same way about you, sir.
Hey, disgust me.
Once again, feelings mutual.
I was in my room getting ready to cut some weight, getting ready to go work out, and my immediate response, I don't know. It was obviously pretty devastating thing to find out. You know, I try to believe that everything happens for a reason, and that, you know, at the end of the day, God has a plan for me. He has a plan for us all, and so I'm just trying to stay optimistic. I feel like I've put in a lot of work to get back to this point, and I feel like I have to reclimb a ladder. You know, I believe that something good will come from this. But right now, it's hard to see it. I'm sorry that I'm crying. I believe that something good will come from this, but right now it's hard to see it. And I just got to keep going.
There's room for villains in your sport, obviously. How do you not give Jon Jones another chance, though?
Yeah, listen, Lorenzo, I don't know where Lorenzo is on this issue, but I still haven't talked to Jon Jones. You know what I mean?
Is Lorenzo...
Listen, there's nothing for me and Jon Jones to talk about.
You haven't talked to him?
I haven't, and I'm not gonna. There is nothing for us to talk about.
What if he called you in 30 seconds after this interview? Would you take it?
No, I'm not talking to Jon Jones. I'm not talking to him. There's no reason for us to talk. The guy is a professional. I truly believe, I believe this. Listen, I'm not the biggest Jon Jones fan right now, but I truly believe that he did take a supplement that had this stuff in it, and it wasn't intentional. I truly believe that. But at the same time, come on, okay? You're 28 years old. You're probably the greatest talent to ever set foot in this sport, right? Call USADA and tell them what supplements you're taking. You know, you've already been through this history of just absolute madness. Why would you do this? Forget doing it to us. Why would you do this to yourself?
John, I'm going to tell you this. I heard stories. You know, I never knew any of this firsthand, obviously, when he was fighting, but I would hear stories that people would see him out partying and stuff like that. And I'd be like, come on. I mean, the guy couldn't have been fucking. I mean, you don't fight at this level, and you don't. And Jon Jones is so badass and so good.
Sure.
There's no way in hell that could be true. But apparently it was, you know.
Do you see him, sorry to interrupt you, Matt, do you see him coming back? Because like now he got a 1-year suspension, I guess, from the point of when it happened, which is like July 4th around there. So if you guys want to fight him early July or mid-July of this coming year in 2017, can you promote before then, or he can't even announce until then? How does that work?
Yeah, no, I don't know how this whole thing's going to play out, but he'll definitely be back this summer.
Okay.
He'll be back this summer.
So let's just talk about what happened. You tested positive for some estrogen inhibitors.
Yeah, estrogen blockers.
Estrogen blockers that a lot of people associate with people who take steroids. When people take steroids, they want to restart their system, or if you want a testosterone boost, you take Clomid or Clomiphene, and these are standard drugs in the steroid users world.
Yeah, this is all new for me.
Yeah.
Basically,
what did you take?
So I took an off-brand Cialis pill.
Off-brand.
It wasn't actual Cialis, but it was described to me as being a Cialis, and so I thought it was a Cialis, and I just took it. So
why does a guy like you need Cialis?
I have a huge cock, Joe.
It's too big?
It's too big.
That's a good answer. You don't have the resources to get it normally? Just need...
Yeah, you know,
you were partying?
No, I wasn't even necessarily partying, no. I've taken like male enhancement before, and for people who haven't taken it, you literally, you know, you go from being like that to just, it puts the twist at the end of a punch.
Twist at the end of a punch.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a good time, you know? And I had no clue that test was going to be the test that derailed my life. And, you know, right before UFC 200, knew that I wasn't going to be fighting a few hours before everyone else knew, the public knew, and I could already start hearing everything. Even my own coaches were looking at me like, just their hearts were on the floor. Like, I had done so much to get back to fighting at UFC 200. Like, but with the Nevada Athletic Commission, I never had an issue. And then I was suspended when USADA came. So I was never really educated on how serious USADA really was.
What happens once you find out? How'd you narrow it down to this pill?
I literally, I went through my supplements, and I handed it to, I hired a private lab and a lawyer, and we started giving them everything that I took, which isn't really a lot of stuff at all. You know? So my manager was like, think outside of the box. Like, did you take anything that could have possibly been? And I was like, I don't think so. Then I was like, well, one of my teammates did give me this dick pill, and he's like, I need those. So we got those pills tested, and sure enough, they in their ingredients they listed about 5 products in their ingredients, and they actually there was actually like 7 products, 2 that weren't listed in the ingredients. The 2 estrogen blockers were never in their ingredients. So it was a tainted pill. And
why the fuck would they put estrogen blockers in a dick pill in the first place?
Pill? We believe that the factory that created these dick pills were maybe manufacturing these pills in a dirty laboratory or whatever, and they were
it's just tainted.
Yes, because each pill that we had tested, some of them had more estrogen blockers, some had almost no estrogen blockers, some had small traces. Actually, none of the pills were consistent. So it was suspended for a year, starting from back in July. So now I fight in July of 2000.